What is up, guys? It's me, Absolute Habibi, and today I'll be showing you how I achieved the Gold Rush achievement in Europa Universalis 4. For this achievement, we need to form the Golden Horde as the Great Horde before 1500. This achievement is all about manpower management, timing, and horde mechanics. We're going to start by summoning Diet and hiring military advisor, preferably morale of armies or discipline. We will then immediately hire cheapest mercenary stack and move our units onto the border with Crimea. We will have to take a loan in order to hire the mercenary stack. Next, we're going to set up our rivals. I selected Crimea, Kazan, and Nogai. For our first war, we're going to declare on Crimea on 11th December 1444. No one usually wants to ally Crimea right away, so this should be a one-on-one and a very simple war. Since we have more troops than Crimea, I recommend engaging and wiping their army, then sieging down their lands. Our goal from this war is conquering the province of Crimea. The next step is to declare on Muscovy immediately after they declare war on Novigrad. In this game, Muscovy declared before I finished my war with Crimea, but I still declared. This war is important as Muscovy and its vassals will be fighting a two-front war, making army pickoffs a lot easier. We have to declare on Muscovy immediately because they get incredibly powerful just from their first couple wars and after annexing a vassal or two. I pieced out Crimea as soon as I could for provinces leading to Crimea as well as some gold. I raised provinces and began to move north with all my armies. I should also mention that I only ally Uzbek at game start for some security. A good tip to remember about EU4 AI is that they will always focus the weaker target first in multi-front wars. This means that Muscovy and its vassals for the most part will be sieging Novigrad for the first year of the war. I use this time to set up my armies and begin sieging Moscow, which is a grassland province. In order to win this war, it's important we never engage their entire army all in one battle, and we always battle on plain-like territory. Fighting on plain-like territory gives us bonus damage and shock phases during battles. So as long as we're fighting on steppes, grasslands, farmlands, or tundra, you should be doing devastating damage to their armies. Another thing to remember as a horde is that using our tribal conquest CB makes the war goal show superiority. That means that most of the war score will come from battles rather than sieges. The common strategy throughout this campaign is stack wiping smaller stacks and only spending time sieging the lands we plan on taking during the peace deal. This war is by far the hardest that you will have before forming the Golden Horde. Muscovy and its vassals will have at least double your units, and sometimes Muscovy will roll a really good starting general. One way to split up their armies is sieging down provinces first before engaging. That way they spend parts of their army unsieging lands, like they did in this campaign. I also recommend using Scorch Earth mechanic on provinces around your capital in order to catch small stacks on their own. Using this strategy, I was able to stack wipe almost 40k units separately, and I effectively never lost a single battle. This war may require a couple restarts just based off of RNG as well as maybe some couple battles that you took, but we just started our campaign, so that's not really a problem. And you should not be afraid to restart, as I even restarted twice before getting this right. After killing about 50,000 Russian troops, it's time for a peace deal, and for this war we will take all the way to Moscow and province. We will then raise all the provinces we got from both wars, and as you can see here, we can take Miltech 4, but we won't take it. And the reason for that is because we don't have the first institution in the game, which is feudalism. That means all of our technology is 50% more expensive. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to wait for the Moscow provinces to be cored before we get the technology, because we will be able to get feudalism off of these 3 provinces or 4 provinces that we took from Moscow. In the meantime, we're going to want to declare war on Tver and Ryazan. They will most likely be allied with one another, so we can co-belligerent them in order to annex both of them. It's very important that we declare war on them before Muscovy does, because Muscovy has max relations, so they won't ally either one and will most likely attack Tver. So just make sure you declare war on them before Muscovy does. Compared to our war with Muscovy, this war is a breeze, and I really should be a breeze for you as well. They shouldn't have any big allies, and like I said, they allied only to each other, so we can co-belligerent both and essentially take all of these provinces in the war. As a horde, we don't really care so much about overextension and aggressive expansion. These are just numbers to us. So we just take as much as we can and war as often as we can in order to keep our tribal allegiance up, as well as continuously keeping ourselves drowning in monarch points via raising the provinces. Another horde mechanic that I quote-unquote abuse here is the fact that we loot provinces incredibly fast. As you can see right here, we instead of just sieging down land and ending the war as fast as possible, we spread our units throughout all of the provinces and make sure we loot them entirely. This makes it so we essentially have to take no more loans and are making money while we're warring. In this campaign, we spawned about 30k tribal rebels. In order to save manpower, I just accepted their demands. I took the prestige and autonomy hit. It doesn't really matter. A lot of our money is going to be coming from looting and warring anyways, so province autonomy isn't really a big deal. Plus, we save a lot of manpower by not engaging. Once we're done looting and sieging, we will peace out, take all lands, and raise them, and begin to move our units to the border with Nogai and Uzbek and prepare for our war with the Eastern Hordes. After this war with Ryazan and Tver, we should be able to embrace feudalism, as well as tech up twice in military. This is why we don't take Miltech 4 when we're first able to. If we just save our mill power, we'll actually be able to tech up twice in one go once we embrace feudalism. Our next war will be with Nogai and their allies. In this game, I actually had a 2 tech advantage on Nogai, which is immense in the early game. So warring them wasn't that hard at all. We were able to essentially take any battle that we wanted as long as we had relatively the same numbers and we fought on good terrain. The only unfortunate part was in this case, Transoxiana, who was independent from the Timurids, had actually declared war on Nogai at the same time we declared war on them. So they actually were able to snag Nogai, the province that we need, before we were able to. Since Nogai has some pretty big allies like Uzbek and Chagatai, I just win a couple battles, siege down maybe like their province, a couple provinces, and they should just white peace. For Uzbek, I 100% recommend white piecing them because we are about to share a border with them, and a white peace will mean the truce will be a lot shorter, and we do need 2 provinces from Uzbek in order to form the Golden Horde. I wasn't really able to white peace or siege down any of Chagatai's land, so in this peace deal I just took whatever land I could take since we no longer were able to take Nogai, and I raised provinces and I prepared for our war with Kazan. So again, Uzbek is allied with Kazan as they were with Nogai, which kind of complicates things a little bit. However, in this case, because we were sieging them down in the previous war, they're spawning a lot of rebels and they have pretty high devastation throughout their lands. So we are able to win this 2v1 war pretty easily, a little bit easier than our war with Nogai. Should mention that at this point our manpower is completely shot, so we do have to keep that in mind. I do purchase a secondary mercenary stack as well as consolidate the remaining. So this war is a little bit easier than the war with Nogai. We hunt armies, siege down the capital of Kazan, which is the province Kazan, and we just after we're done with Kazan, we're gonna go siege down a little bit of Uzbek and just white peace them, because after this war we will actually share a border with them. So we want to just have the shortest truce time as possible in order to war them when we can. After this war, we now are a great power, just 20 years after starting the campaign. We also need to start deving up Renaissance. Luckily for us, our capital is considered inside Europe, so we will just generally spawn and generate Renaissance in our capital. However, we do have to wait until feudalism reaches our capital. This is a mistake that I made on my first playthrough as the Great Horde, is that I, without even realizing, I started deving up my capital before feudalism had reached it. So actually, I was getting no Renaissance progress. So as you can see right here, I finally was able to basically spawn and create Renaissance in my capital. So for my next war, it is with Transoxiana. This is not really a war that you may have to do. It really depends if they snagged Nogai or not. In this game, they did snag Nogai, so I did have to war them. Anyways, this war can be a little bit tricky because Transoxiana's south side is completely covered with mountain terrain. And just like how we get bonus damage on plain-like terrain, on non-plain-like terrain, so hills, forests, mountains, etc., we will do less damage. So it's really important that we wait for them to come engage us on the desert and steppe terrains in the north side of their territory. So this war did take a while. It took about 3 years in order to actually win the war, since we were waiting for them to come to us rather than chasing into mountains of the Persia region. So after we were done with that war, we then can raise the provinces and prepare for our next war. And that war is with Uzbek. And as you can see right here, they're dealing with a lot of rebels. And this is a trick that I learned from Flowworry's channel. And actually, if you siege down any country in EU4 and then white peace them after successfully sieging them down, they will retain all of their war exhaustion from the war, as long as you white peace them. So since we siege down Uzbek's capital twice and some surrounding provinces, and we also stack wipe them in one war, and we white peace them in both of those wars, their country is essentially so broken that they had no more troops. I did call in Chagatai here to help me out. I didn't know that we had to fight some rebel stacks, so I want to save the manpower, and I also promised some land. So in order to form the Golden Horde, we need 2 specific provinces from Uzbek. One is called Kipchak and the other one's called Chimgi Tura. It's the northmost and southmost provinces that I took in this war, in this campaign. And now finally for our last war. This war is going to be with Muscovy. We need 2 provinces from them. One is Yaroslav, one's the one next to Yaroslav, I forgot its name. But we're going to put defensive edict up in our northern provinces, and we're going to do the same tactic that we did in the earlier war, which is fight them on plain-like terrain and always engage smaller stacks. Never engage a big stack. As you can see, my money is pretty bad. Most of this land we're conquering is really poor and also has no good trade goods. We do have one gold mine that I do dev up later, which we got from Kazan, I believe. But for now, our money is completely reliant on essentially war. All our money is going to come from other nations and from looting provinces. This war is going to either be the hardest or second hardest war to do this achievement, and again, just really focus on killing armies and only sieging down the provinces that we need. As you can see right here, my entire right side of my country is sieged down. I also deleted all forts that aren't directly in the north, as well as near my capital. I completely deleted those forts for money reasons, and also to not really worry about them during war and just let them get sieged down without getting much war score. But as long as we're stack wiping like we are in this case, our war score is going to be really high. So that's all you really need to do. Siege down the provinces you need and stack wipe small stacks. It's really important that you never engage Muscovy in the provinces, in their southmost provinces. And that's because all of these provinces are wood and forest provinces, which we really don't want to be fighting in. So after stack wiping a couple stacks, that's when I would go to the north and siege down a province. You really don't want to take any engagements up there. And just like that, we can peace out Muscovy and form the Golden Horde immediately. It's 1477, 30 years after game start, and which means we get the achievement. From this point on, there's a lot of things that you can do. What's really cool about your position is that you have many routes of expansion. You can head towards China, you can head towards India, You could go into Europe. You could become Orthodox. You could even go into the Middle East if that's what you wanted, or you could do kind of go on all directions and go for a world conquest from this point on, because you are in a pretty strong position, and you just need to fix your country a little bit. You're gonna have a lot of rebels spawn, which is totally manageable. And yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this guide, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey, if you're still watching at this point, thank you first of all for sticking around. But I do want to just say, if you guys have noticed, my upload schedule is it's kind of crazy, I'd say. Sometimes I'm uploading a lot, and then I'll go like an entire week without uploading. And I just want to be straight up with you guys right off the bat and just tell you, I do have bipolar syndrome, and that does mean that I will have weeks where I'm really down, and it's really hard for me to do this extra stuff like making YouTube videos and stuff that I'm not really getting paid for or getting rewarded for. It's more for like fun and for other people. So with that being said, if you guys could like the video, subscribe, and join me in my other videos, I'd really appreciate that, and it would really help me out a lot. So thank you, and I'll see you guys in the next video.